Okay. Let me first things first. My peoples come first. My peoples, those of you still with us, those of you that have passed, always remembered and thought of. It's going to be a little unorthodox. Hopefully, this turns out all right. I didn't want to delay the show further because I'm actually doing this in between of a work day. I had to run and help out with something with regards to family real quick, but I'm just making my way back before I get back in studio. So I hope this actually works. In the comments, just briefly put in a note saying you can see that I'm live or that you hear me all right. Now, a few of the things that I'm going to tackle while I'm making this drive is going to be mainly on the Arsenal game that happened at the Etihad. And obviously there's going to be that game to talk about. There's also this game with Aston Villa that's coming up. I really hope that my sound isn't bad here. But I've been on a few shows. I've been able to feature on a few shows talking about the City Arsenal game. And I'm not doom and gloom. I'm not saying that the title race is over. There's 9 games left. It's disappointing on how we were only able to get a draw. I think giving having Liverpool now be 3 points ahead with 9 games to go is going to be very difficult. But it's obviously possible. I mean, I know Liverpool are a different animal to Arsenal last season, but 9 games left last season. We were 5 points off top, so a lot can happen. But this traffic is ridiculous. So the game itself, and you can see by some of the titles there. And when I get back in studio, I'll adjust things. But it's advantage Liverpool. It's advantage Liverpool. The game versus Arsenal was a difficult one. As you can see from the thumbnail, or if you saw from what I posted on Twitter X, Arsenal made it extremely difficult. They're the best defensive team in the league. They traveled to the Etihad and obviously relied on their defensive strengths. I don't think I've ever seen Kai Havertz, Jesus, and Saka put in a better defensive shift. Please let me know in the comments if you can hear me clearly. The noise in the background you're hearing is the rain. I just didn't want to start the show extremely late as I'm making my way back. Well, as soon as I leave my car and get into studio, then we'll do the show properly. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen such an excellent display from Arsenal defensively. So for City to be at home, not scoring a goal speaks to how defensively sound Arsenal were, and they were very difficult to break down from a City standpoint. If I want to look at any performances from a KDB, performances even from Foden, and I thought Haaland was good despite, I guess, if you're going to look at it from a stat standpoint. But when you look at what he had to do, how he was battling the entire 90 minutes versus Saliba and Gabriel, I thought it was very good. I think we just need to find a way to take a little more risks. And when I talk about risks in this Arsenal game or even moving forward, I don't think that the risks need to take place with us committing more players forward. I mean, all the rivals want to tell you, and some City fans have been very critical of how City have played and how we've been a little leaky and surrendering attacking opportunities or counter-attack opportunities against us. So I don't think we need to commit as many players forward, but I do think we need to take a little risk. We need to be a little more adventurous and send send some of those early passes into Holland, whether it's the through passes or it's balls over top or if it's balls behind. We need to give Holland a chance to run down on some of those. So I was disappointed not to see that in the game because we definitely had that. And I did a watch along with TJ Warren TV. If you haven't checked that channel out, make sure to do. But we missed early chances on that defense, and I was screaming that we need to keep the defense honest. We need to keep Arsenal's defense honest and slip some of those passes through and put the pressure on a Saliba and Gabriel, right? Like we played ball before, and defenders. I'm not going to say that they panic, but defenders need to make a decision. If the ball gets into foot and it's to Holland and he's posted up, or if the pass is made and he's trying to run onto it, right? Defender might try to get in the way, might try to block, and there's opportunities there. I'm not saying to run and dive, but there's opportunities where there's going to be contact and there's going to be questions asked of the defender and possibly the referee in those situations. So I just want to see a little more of that. I've got the phone, and I'm forgetting all the points that I kind of made onto the side, but I know that I want to touch on that Arsenal game, and I'm going to go in a lot more depth when I get in studio. I'm not too far away from my house, to be honest with you, and I can't, obviously being safe, I'm not reading any comments. Now, one thing I want to address, because one thing I absolutely hate is before I say a word, okay? Before I say a word and I'm featured on a show, I don't want to be brought into answering a question, regardless of what is assumed. I don't want to be brought into answering a question and someone's already labeling me as being irritated or frustrated, angry, or mad. I haven't said a word yet. So wait until I've responded to actually categorize me into any of those things. But the game versus Arsenal was not one that I'm frustrated on because of how Arsenal played. That is a false narrative. That is a false observation. I'm frustrated with the result. I'm not frustrated with how Arsenal played. I actually believe how Arsenal played was, again, during the game, even after the game, and I've said this on many other shows, if teams don't set up to be defensive against City, I think it's a sign of disrespect. I don't care who you are, right? Now, the only point where I'm like, you apparently are supposed to be as equal strength to me, I get why you wouldn't set up defensively. I get why you would still play your brand of football if you believe your club is of equal strength. But if you don't, I don't see any problem with you playing defensive. I don't see any problem with you being risk adverse. I don't see any problem with you recognizing the dangers that I have on my team in a KDB, Foden, and Holland, right? I have no problems with that. I have a problem when you try to disguise it and try to make it seem like it's something else. Now, Arteta was right to play for a draw. He was right to respect City's attack. And he was right to say, I'm going to, how does the saying go? Retreat so you can live and fight for another day. I have no problem with him retreating in that game and saying, you know what, I'm going to take my chances with the remaining nine games and expect Liverpool to draw. I get all that. He also has a 1-point advantage on City. So he's expecting City to drop points, obviously, or if he believes City were to win the remaining games, I believe his belief. I believe his belief. I think that his approach is that if City are going to go 9 straight wins, then Arsenal will go 9 straight wins. So this draw makes sense to me. Now, I'm about 3 minutes away from getting home. I'm going to remain on my phone while I walk through the house and get down to the studio. But I have no problem with what Arteta did. But I'm pointing out in terms of the risk adverse, and I believe his approach not to go after a win because he was already top of the league with Liverpool, and you've now given the advantage to Liverpool. That is my only thing, and I'm looking at it through City eyes. Obviously, Arsenal fans, you thinking, you being okay, you accepting with Arteta's move to play for a draw, I'm actually cool with, and it's going to be an interesting conversation when I do run into some Arsenal fans and the season progresses on whether they still believe that was the right approach or right move in terms of not trying to remain top of the league, but to concede and be 2 points off top of the league. Now, this City team aren't the trouble-winning City team, but this is what every rival wants to talk about. Every rival wants to talk about they're going to the trouble winners. They're going to the Etihad. They're going to the three-peat winners. I get all that, but let's not be lazy and say that you're facing that Manchester City now. You're not facing that Manchester City now. You're facing that troubled team, which all of you want to keep pointing out had Gundogan, Mahrez, and they're no longer here. And you're pointing out how weak City are. And Stones, who was part of that troubled team, could not play. Walker, who was very key, part of that troubled team, could not play. And when we start this game, and all of the opportunities or strengths of Arsenal were on full display and available to kind of execute a plan, when you're missing Stones and Walker, and then on top of that, you're missing Ake, which many would all agree Ake was the most consistent, him and Akanji, in terms of defense. So when Ake's gone and your manager still chooses to take that same pragmatic approach when City are weaker defensively, is all that I am talking about. That is it. If blood was not in the water, if Arsenal fans did not see vulnerability in City, if Arteta still didn't want to take his chances and be a little more attacking. Actually, I shouldn't talk away from the phone. Let me finish what I said. If Arteta wanted to do all that, cool. All right, I'm moving out of here. I'll be back. All right, let me exit out of here. All right, check 1 2. Hopefully all that's good. Let me take this off. Remove. All right. Okay. Apologies. Meant to send the link out. Everything got messed up. Actually, I'm on the wrong camera as well. All right. Bear with me while I go to this Twitter X. All right. Okay. Let me do this. Let me do this proper. Topics here on the screen. All right. It's what I do. This is Beta Games TV, episode 96. If you saw it by the thumbnail, I'm going to be addressing all of these right here. Well, this thumbnail, this topic in particular, but also all these topics here on the screen. And let me put this to bed. Let me actually say this because I'm not sure if it came across when I was speaking and driving here trying to get in the studio. I am not upset with what Arsenal did or set up to do. I'm not. And even before I get fully into the show, I do this every show, and this is the 96. So I got to shout the very first in the comments where the love's coming from, because first things first, it's always about my peoples. And let me shout out to Dre P in the building. Dre P in the building. He goes on to say, it was a tactical battle. Yeah, it was. There's been criticism on both sides, but I think it was a good game of high quality in defending. Listen, Dre P, I agree with you. It was tactical. I agree with you that there was a lot of defensive approaches. Arsenal are very good defensively. I believe statistically in the league they're the best. So as good as they are, and when they make the choice to play that way, it's going to be a defensive battle. Now, I have no criticism of that setup. I got no problem whatsoever. My only thing is that I'm disappointed with my team in terms of what we could have done more to have gotten the win, because we were obviously the more attacking one. We should have asked a lot more questions of Arsenal's defense. Let me also shout this out. MCFRTV in the building. Hi, Bader. What it do? Yo, thanks for being on the show. And thanks for the comments. Now, I was running a little late, had to deal with a few things family-wise, but I'm back, and you see what I'm going to be going through. And it's going to be very concise show. Very concise show. I don't know if I'm going to send out the link. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to send out the link, but we're live. Let me see. Watching the Treble document. I've watched the first 2 episodes. I watched them last night. The first 2, very, very, very good. I'm actually debating whether I should do a review. I think True City fan Patrick's going to do a review, so we should get into it because the quality is top notch. And the one thing that I really love about watching it is, and if you happen to be, behind the scenes, you're already watching a lot of the City content. A lot of the things just came back to the surface, and just remembering the moments was absolutely amazing. With Capes, this guy. All right, eat healthy, man. Eat healthy. Be active and eat healthy. Absolute must win tonight. Listen, Aston Villa. We're going to get into it. It wasn't part of my topics because I know I'm going to be featured on a few shows to discuss it. But yeah, 100%. What's this? The Pep speech versus Southampton. Yeah. You know what? Another time. But if you haven't, Netflix. I think Netflix is $6. If you just get the basic, I think it's $6 a month. Out here in Canada. I don't know what it means for all of you outside or elsewhere, but I definitely subscribe. Listen, Together Treble, must watch. Now, if you happen to be watching on Twitter X, take a second, find your other device, go to YouTube, hit subscribe, hit like. It means a tremendous amount to this channel. I'm humbly trying to get to 500. Let me get to that sub mark and beyond, and then let me know in the comments, because again, I'm always trying to tweak the show. Now, let me put all these. Let me get this straight. Let me switch this. I'm gonna do this. Put this, and now, boom, timer's on. 5 minutes. We fought to win that game. We, Manchester City, fought to win that game. I got no problem with the 11 that Pep chose to start with. I got no problem with how we really started that game.
because the first 20, 25 minutes you could see we're asking questions of Arsenal. We were making them uncomfortable, and we should have. We're the home team, but you could see early how Arsenal had set up, and when you see a Kai Havertz, and Kai Havertz's best opportunity was him sliding into Ortega, and I'm so glad Ortega's okay because he's obviously our second keeper. But that's Kai Havertz's best chance. And when I see the defensive shift that Jesus puts in, Saka puts in, what else are we going to expect? But I would have liked to see a little more fight in terms of how we were going to cause Arsenal to have to deal with our attack. Foden didn't have a good game, in my opinion. KDB was making a lot of runs, and this is the thing. Yeah, I sometimes geek out, but KDB was making a lot of runs, and I was on TJ Warren's TV channel doing a 1/2 watch along, not the entire thing. I did a 1/2 watch along, and I was saying on it, listen, release that pass, whether it was to Haaland or whether it was to KDB, because when KDB would do the overlaps, just send it to our best attacking players and see how the defense reacts. See how whether the defender remains calm, right? I wanted all of those things to be tested. It didn't happen. So I'm going to be critical of City. I think how we fought was good, but there was more that was needed. If our players are going to get this 4-peat, they can't afford to play like that. They can't afford to not take risks. And I was saying this as I was driving into the studio. It's not taking risks with everybody advancing up the pitch. It's not taking risks with having committed Akanji and Gavardiol, and in the case of Rico Lewis, and just leaving Diaz back there. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when we have some of that intricate play, top of the 18-yard box, in that final third, give that pass that might be a little 50-50. See whether Haaland can get onto it. See whether Foden can get onto it. See whether it results in a defender going through one of our players, us winning a free kick, us maybe winning a yellow because of how aggressive they are. We need to do more of that, and I didn't see that in the Arsenal game. I'm also going to say this: when we play anyone at home, they're going to set up that way. We haven't suffered a loss for 50-something plus games. We haven't lost a game with Rodri in our squad. Everyone's seen what we've done to teams coming to the Etihad. We should expect, no matter who you are, maybe with the exception of Liverpool. Shout out, I'll give respect to Klopp. Maybe it's because of his experience. He's been in the game for a minute. He knows who he is. He knows what his team is. Klopp's not going to come to the Etihad and play low block, five bank five. He's not going to play quote unquote pragmatic. But we should expect that from every other club. So listen, I don't get upset. I don't get annoyed. I was on Flawless's channel. Shout out to SarcasmTV. I've said it. Teams that don't set up that way, it's disrespect. It's disrespect if you don't set up that way against the Treble winners at home. Now, if you are of quality, if you are to challenge for the title, though, there's going to be a point where you need to go beyond that. You need to go beyond just playing for a draw. Shout out to my man Pablo. If you're on Twitter X, take a second. I know you got burners, whether it's for work, whether it's for personal life. Just take that burner phone, go onto the app, YouTube, drop that like, drop that subscribe. Good to see you, Pablo. Pablo has to say, big up Vader in the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Appreciate that. Now, actually, I didn't even adjust my whole lighting is a little off still. But I got no problem. With it. I think we need to show a little more fight. Now let me adjust this. Boom.
Vader game.
All right. So next, Arsenal. I'm not upset. I'm not angry. I'm not annoyed. I know what it is. Arsenal played like every other fearful opponent coming to the Etihad. It's not an annoyance. Listen, I've earned that respect. City have earned that respect from rivals. City have earned that in terms of any opponent coming to the Etihad. That's what it is. So when I see it, I'm not annoyed. I'm not. But if I point out the criticism in terms of what Arsenal, I guess, could have gone for, is all that it is. I think Arsenal set up in a way to definitely prevent themselves from losing. I think it hindered themselves from actually winning. And it was the best setup possible for a draw, which at the end of the day is still advantage Arsenal. It's still advantage Arteta. Arteta, again, I've heard how the Arsenal fans have now said we won 4 out of 6 possible points. I get that. That's a great win. That's a great improvement. It's a great evolution from last season, because last season you got slapped. So I understand that change. But when you also look at the fact that it's now a 3-horse title race, I get that approach if it was just City and Arsenal. But when it's a 3-horse title race, you still have to keep an eye on Liverpool. You still have to understand that you too were top of the league, and now you've given advantage to Liverpool. And that's why part of this title here, you can see it, it's now Liverpool's title to lose. It's now Liverpool's title to lose because they've got the 2-point advantage on Arsenal. They got the 3-point advantage on City. If any opponent does not set up defensively versus City, I do believe it's a problem. But you can set up defensively and you can still be a little more attacking. And I'm not kidding, not exaggerating. I saw better effort defensively from Saka, from Jesus, from Havertz than I did offensively. You can tell what the manager instilled into them in terms of what they needed to be prepared for, what they needed to do. So they got their draw, they move, they got their 4 points out of 6. They have that moving forward. Now it's who can close out these last remaining 9 games and win this title. As much as Arsenal fans want to talk about what they kept City from doing at home, do you realize that Arsenal are the best goal-scoring team in the league? Arsenal are the best defense in the league. So when they choose to be as defensive as they were, of course they're going to have joy in that. They're the best defensive team. But Arsenal only, as poor as my Manchester City team is, as poor as everyone wants to remind me with regards to my defense, I'm not looking like the treble winners. I'm not looking like the 3-peat winners. I'm not looking like I'm able to win a 4-peat. As much as that keeps getting told to me, this poor defense had no Stones, no Walker, and 20 minutes into the game had no Ake. And this weakened defense all season and weakened defense going into this game kept Arsenal, the best attacking team in the league, to only 6 shots in this game. 6 shots. And that's the lowest tally that they've registered since 2021. Right? So let's kind of like simmer down with all of this talk in terms of what Arsenal did versus City, because the adverse also happened versus Arsenal. And this wasn't even an attempt by City. We weren't going out there to do this to you. This was the byproduct of actually how you set up and how we took advantage of this defensive approach by yours. 6 shots. And that has not been done since 2021. So we need to kind of keep all this in perspective. I'm so annoyed that my players weren't healthy. I talked about it on the last show. I hated the international break because I came through into this big game without my heavy hitters, without the players that were impactful with regards to me winning last season's Treble. Me being able to get the 3-peat, whereas now I'm trying to get a 4-peat and these players aren't available right now. I don't like it. All right, let me make sure I got this set up. Again, comment appreciated. If you're watching on the Twitter X app, take a second. Take 1 second. It doesn't take much. And it's free. I'm not asking you to come out of pocket. You don't got to do any of that. Just go on to your desktop, go onto your second phone, go into the YouTube app, find Vader Games TV, click on this video, hit the like, subscribe. I'm humbly trying to get to 500 and then beyond. All right. All right, let me do this.
Vader game.
Okay, we're gonna move this down. Next. And this is where I get real. I get real with how I gotta speak about City. I've been watching the documentary. If you guys aren't watching the Together Treble, please take the time. Excellent Netflix quality. Amazing documentary. And that's what you get when you win a Treble, when you do something like rarely been done before. When you do something so epic, you get rewarded with obviously a huge fan base looking to experience more of it. All right, let me see if I can adjust that a little bit. That's a little better. Okay. City fans, those of you that have ever been on any type of team, whether it's sports, work, whatever, there's team building. There's outings. There's things to get everybody to gel and be on the same page and better know each other. KDB, Holland, Foden, you guys need a night out. I'm saying it. You guys need a night out. Bowling, go-karting, I don't know what it is. Go see the latest Dune 2. I don't know what it is. You guys need to go out. Shoot some darts. I don't know. Axe throwing, whatever it is. You guys need to, the bonding needs to happen. You guys need to be on the same page. There needs to be a little synergy. I'm not seeing it. There's 9 games left. That needs to happen. All right? That needs to happen. When you guys were at your powers and peak of your powers, there's almost like a symbiotic thing. You guys knew where each other were going to be before it even happened, right? That needs to happen quick. It needs to happen quick. I don't know how you go about it, but find a way. If it's before Champions League, even better, because Real Madrid is going to be tough. All I know is you guys can't continue playing like this. You guys are of too great quality to be having these type of displays. You know that when teams are going to be defensive, when teams are going to be so compact, and obviously not many teams can match the defensive quality of an Arsenal, but when teams set up that way, it's going to be the little things. It's going to be the unscripted things. It's going to be the freestyles, right? It's going to be that little bit of jazz. You got to be able to be off script, and that requires to be on the same page. KDB, Holland, and Foden, you guys are going to be key. You guys are going to be key. And I know that part of the inconsistent play is because of injuries, right? Holland missed over 2 months. KDB missed 6 months? And I know even coming back from injury, it's like figuring out the body and all that stuff. But guys, 9 games left. 9 games left. And even if we don't have everyone available, we're going to need you 3. We're going to need you 3. Great to see Jack Grealish back. Great to see Doku on that right-hand side. And I'm going to speak a little bit more on that later on in the show, obviously, based off of these topics. But those 3 are going to be key into attack. And everyone's got to step up to another level with the departure of Gundogan. Gundogan's a big part of that. Let me shout out David in the building. Is a documentary on Netflix? Yes, it's on Netflix. Dave, you didn't get the notification? I know you're a Chelsea fan, but listen. Every episode is about 40 minutes. I want to slow play it because all episodes are available. But I want to slow play this, so I only watched 2 episodes. It's good. It's good. It's good. And what I love about it is because it was recorded all behind the scenes, full coverage of last season. Regardless of, nobody knew there was going to be a Treble winning season, but they recorded the season because it was on pursuit of a three-peat. So the footage is absolutely amazing. Definitely check that out. Now, this night out, hit me up, let me know in the comments. But you know what I'm saying with regards to players need to gel. Players need to know what they're going to naturally do just instinctively. And where I want this to build on and grow is we need our wingers to do the same thing. We need Doku and Grealish to also be a little, to be on the same page. We 100%. Now, I appreciate all of the comments. Don't be afraid. Don't fear on not being a part of the show. Your comments are respected. They're shared. And what I do love about everyone in the comments is that they are respectful and it's on topic. Rowan goes, if you had to choose between Haaland and Aguero, why would I have to choose? I don't like this choice. See, the reason why I don't like this choice is I remember having Dzeko, Balotelli, Aguero, Tevez in attack. Why are you making me choose? Let me have both. Rowan, let me have both Haaland and Aguero. Listen, imagine that. Imagine the slaps that we would be. Oh my gosh, those guys would be killers. Killers. Think about that low center of gravity, the ball movement that Aguero would have, and Aguero was quick to actually release a pass as well, and then couple that with the power of a Haaland. Yo, big up to my man Klilnical, the Jamaican citizen. What it do? It's been a minute. Hope all is blessed with you and the family. Good to see you, man, and appreciate all of the, even with regards to the likes and the retweets. You're a real one, and I appreciate that. Subsiso. Apologies. Maybe type that phonetically. I'm so bad. Do you think Doku should start tonight? You know what? I think Doku can start start tonight. I think start tonight and not Crystal Palace. Yeah, I think so. I think Doku can start on that right wing. I'd like to see. Nervous about Grealish being healthy though. Whoever's healthier, and this is where I wish I had a little training footage, but I don't want any. Maybe I'm showing a little nervousness. You know what I mean? But I can't afford any injuries. No more injuries. So whoever's healthy, they start on that left wing. If that means dropping Grealish for Doku, cool, because I do want Grealish. I would want Doku, both of them available for the Real Madrid next week. But I could see Doku starting for sure. And I don't kill Doku like that. I know that he's a talent that's going to be coming up. He just needs time. Klilnical goes, I feel like we tactically put out the Treble documentary here at the business end to galvanize everyone. Klilnical, listen, this is why I know you're a chess player. And this is exactly what City did. I think it was to hit because 9 games left. It was like, I think that was always going to be the target. But also strategically for it to be on April 2nd, it would have been after a game in the middle. So us as City fans, or even anyone that loves just football content, would be able to get a chance to enjoy it. Absolutely. These planned release dates aren't by accident. And I think it was based off of, listen, get the fans remembering what it took last season. Get the fans remembering on how it wasn't easy. No matter how rivals want to talk about it, we also need to remember that Treble run was not easy. We weren't winning games like that. We weren't even top of the league. Let's all remember 93% of the season last year, we weren't at top. So I think, this documentary dropped to galvanize, but also to remind that Everybody needs to be of high energy and positivity. Lorenzo Negredo was also good. Just a pity he wanted to leave after one season. Yeah, I think he wasn't the healthiest when he was playing as well. I don't know if it was a knee or an ankle, but he didn't have the smoothest season, and not everyone can deal with competing for your starting position, right? That's actually something that requires a lot of mental strength, a lot of it. But no, he was quality. Rohan goes, will KDB play today even as a sub? Yeah. I think I think we need KDB more. I think we need more of our available 11 or best 11, best available subs for this Aston Villa game. I think there's no chance of risking the momentum here after this draw to Arsenal. I think we play our best possible 11. I think if there's going to be any type of rotation, it's going to be in the Crystal Palace game, because the Crystal Palace game goes into Champions League, and we know what that Champions League game is about. We know what kind of vengeance is on the mind of Real Madrid, and we also know that their fan base are going to be amped for it. Let me set this up, because I got to move. Let me move to my timer, because what's next is we got to talk about Saka. We got to talk about Havertz and Odegaard. We got to talk about it. Yeah, and the truth is going to be told. Listen, shout out to all of my American wafflers. That show last night was one of the best. If you missed it, go back and check that out. But I was on a panel and I had to deal with TJ, that Arsenal guy. Shout out TJ. I had to deal with Staffy, who's on loan to Arsenal. Shout out to Staffy. And then I had a special unplanned guest appearance from Egal. And Egal and I go way back, another Arsenal fan. So I'm not saying that it was 3v1, because there's other panel members. And shout out to Jacob and Marshall that actually spoke, and Mike Dawes. But listen, we know how Arsenal fans got to show up in bunches. You know what I mean? So they showed up. It was a great combo. If you missed it, go check it out after this show, obviously. But I need to speak on this. And let me do this clean. Vader game. Saka, as much as everybody wants to talk about where were your players, Vader? Where was Foden? Where was your star boy? Where's KDB? Where's your world-class players in Holland? Where were they? Well, where do you expect them to be when the best defense in the league set up to play defense? Set up to not even play 50-50 attack and defend. They actually chose to play more like an 80-20, right? Or 85-15 is really how it looked like, because we held Arsenal to 6 shots an entire game, and they hadn't done that in like 3 years. So when you got Saka playing his best defense, because I did not see him offensively at all, and when he was matched up against Ake, didn't see nothing. When Gavardiol had that role, didn't see anything. Saka played very good defense. Havertz, I think, was as deep defensively as Jorginho sometimes, and Rice. When you see that, you're like, of course they're not going to be good offensively. Odegaard tried, but when no one's there as an outlet for you, because their roles are to play defense, their roles are to worry more about City's attack, what kind of game are you really going to have? But I was reminded of this, Egal, as I was talking about the shows that I was on. Egal wanted to point out on how Arsenal kept City to not scoring at the Etihad. Arsenal kept City to only having 1 shot on target. Arsenal only had 2 shots on target. Arsenal didn't even have any big chances either. Very marginal. But when I look at other teams that have set up in terms of like a Spurs or a Chelsea, that obviously they defend and obviously they attack, it wasn't as defensive as this. But I get the strategy. I get the draw point of view. But with all of that being said, my players aren't going to look great against the best defense that choose to play low. So we take the draw and we move. To see Saka, Havertz, and Odegaard do this again, I'd be very surprised. If they do this versus Bayern, however, because one thing that I think many Arsenal fans would agree is Arteta has been playing this very risk-adverse style of play versus Porto, and Porto are nowhere near the quality of a City. I don't think Porto are the quality of a Bayern, so one should expect that Arsenal are going to set up the same way versus Bayern, which will be an interesting chess match because I think Tuchel does that well if he chooses to. I haven't watched many Bayern games, but if they choose to do that with the quality of a Kane, it's going to be a good game to watch. Rohan goes, KDB, even after missing so much games, has more assists than Modric, Kroos, Odegaard, Bruno, and Bellingham. Let that sink in. Let that simmer for a little bit. The disrespect that KDB gets from rivals should never happen. Should never happen. Right? And when you really look at what he does, there's no one that matches it. If someone wants to point out others that have good creating stats, yeah, it's there. But no one does it like KDB. The range, the variation of passes, even his ball striking and his ability to score. There's no one like KDB. None. And I want us to prolong his career as long as possible. So when it came down to him coming back from injury, I didn't want that rushed at all. If these rumors are true, actually, I sidetrack a little bit. If these rumors are true about Paqueta really being on City's target again, that's going to be a great player to have in our squad and to learn and to see how KDB does it. Because I'm not saying it's like for like, but that skill set in Paqueta, I like it. Blue Heart in the building. Blue Heart goes, we all know we need to target winning every game. Then the rest is in the hands of the football gods. That's facts. Facts. If it's written in the stars, nothing can stop us. I don't know so much about, well, if it's, I hear what you're saying, if it's written in the stars. But we have to rely on others making mistakes. We have to rely on others making mistakes. And we've been in this position before. We've had not quite, I think we've had more points that we needed dropped with less games. So it's all possible what we needed from two teams now. I do like the fact that Liverpool are playing Europa. I do like that Arsenal are still playing Champions League. If either of those clubs were only focused on the league, it would be very bleak. Very bleak. Lorenzo, do you think we'll maybe get the best out of KDB coming from the bench rather than starting? I think he will be more effective as an impact player, i.e. the Newcastle game. No. I think he's better as a starter because let's think about how we can execute with our best 11. And I think him on the pitch creates a threat and really either forces the ops, the manager, to either commit a player on KDB or to even maybe concede portions of the pitch to maybe even play even lower. And again, we're so accustomed to teams playing a low block or conceding the pitch that I think we can take more advantage of that than not. But nah, KDB at this point, I don't think he's going to be that impact player. Unless he's nursing something, he needs to start. And again, I appreciate all of the viewers. The numbers are amazing. I need to remind you, if you haven't, I'm not looking at YouTube right now. I'm committed to the show. My interaction, my thoughts are trying to stay in flow of the show. So I see the comments. I obviously have my topics here. I'm not onto the YouTube platform and seeing likes and all that kind of stuff. But if you haven't, please take the time, take the second, hit the like button. If you're on your phone and you find it a little inconvenient because you haven't subscribed yet, just turn it into, if you're in landscape mode, switch it, find it, sub. And if you happen to be on you need another device to do this, go to the other device. If you happen to be on Twitter and you don't want to exit, all right, I understand. Find the other device, click, sub, like. Just do that right now. Do that right now. I'm going to go to the to everyone in the comments. Blue Heart goes, Elevator Hope, you are well. I'm very well, man. I'm very well. Thank you so much. Lorenzo, Gavardio absolutely destroyed Saka. Listen, I need a high quality. I saw a clip and it looked like someone put the phone up to the TV and recorded it when Gavardio, a left center back, by the way, playing left back, looking like a wing out there, cut it on Saka. I think that's when Saka kind of suffered that little injury and had to play through it. But Gavardio was cooking him. Let me shout out my man TJ in the building. Smash the likes, people. Respect, my guy. Respect. Why am I not a mod? How do I do the mod thing again? How do I do that? Because I'm only in StreamYard right now. For me to do the mod thing, I'd have to be in YouTube Studios. Is that correct? Listen to this guy. He comes onto my channel and he's all demanding. Typical TJ. Typical DJ. All right, let me take a second here. YouTube. I'm going into the studio. I'm going into. Sorry for the break in the action. Where do I go? I'm in the control room now. YouTube control room. I'm going to click on TJ's name. Oh, there we go. All right, TJ. Managing. Do I make you a standard? What do I mean? I'm going to make you a standard right now. You're my first mod ever, TJ. This is an honor. This is an honor, TJ. You're my first mod ever. Because I like I said, I'm not usually into the whole YouTube studios. So with great with great power, TJ, with great power comes great responsibility. All right, so I did that. Let me go back to my studio here. I'm fuming. This guy's a joker. Thank you, Blue Heart. I'm good. Thank you. All right. The love's there. Let me see. Make sure it's the real TJ account as well. Oh, TJ, is that the real you? Good point. Well, listen, I got to take a second. Apologies, but my gal Rose is in the building. Rose, I don't know if I blush every time I say your name, but thanks for being on the show. Thanks for the comment, my gal. Hi, Blue Heart. I'm well. Thanks for asking. I hope you are well too. Love in the chat. Let me see here. Lorenzo, I'm tuning in from Cape Town. Oh, large up. By the way, always love your takes on the football terrace. I just want the city boys on the terrace to take on Terry a bit more when he is talking crap. Listen, Lorenzo, there's only so much time within the reactions, and obviously for me, work-wise, I can't do any of his top six or any of those shows where he kind of has people on for a longer period of time. But yeah, and he can't help himself. Terry's a United fan, so that bubbles to the surface all the time. But I agree with you. I'm gonna deal with that. Lorenzo. You can click on them to check the channel. You never know these rogues. Yeah, you're right. Let me go back into the studio. Love that. So I click on the name. I'm going to temporarily. You know what? I'm going to trust you, TJ. I'm going to trust you. All right. No. Okay. Topic next. Again, if whatever platform you're on, go to the YouTube, type in Vader Games TV, find me, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let me move this to what's next, because this is something, and actually I'm going to take this off screen. And we got to get into this. We got to get into this because there's too much damn respect on our players. 5 minutes on the clock. Now, Akanji, not spoken enough. Amazing game. Akanji, I got to shout you out. You had an amazing game when we had you play right back to start off. We get the injury to Ake. We bring on Rico Lewis, and Rico's in here as well. Phenomenal performances. And I see why Pep was kind of like forcing you into playing. I just realized I need to move this. So into this. Damn, that was there the whole time. I gotta shout out Pep in terms of how he was forcing Akanji to play that inverted role all season when Stones was kind of available, not quite available, and trying to get him to play like Stones or play in that role, not necessarily play like Stones. But he showed his level. Again, we gotta recognize real, right? We gotta recognize the quality of Arsenal. They're very good. They're very good defensively, and they're very good in attack. So when you have Akanji kind of playing that role and holding his own versus Arsenal, it really bodes well to how much we can trust him moving forward. Kovacic playing in that double pivot versus Rodri. A lot of City fans were yelling and demanding it. We saw it. I wasn't too mad. I wasn't too mad with how Kovacic performed. I was actually happy with it, with the exception of a few times. And I'm not killing him too much for it because I've seen Bernardo Silva do this a little bit. But it's just holding on to that ball a little too much when you see 2-3 Arsenal players converging on you. Release that ball. Make them second guess on how they're going to kind of like trap you or close you in, press you like that, so that they're a little more hesitant. That's the only thing. And I went back and watched the game. That's the only thing I would really be critical of. And we know that's what Pep's doing. After the game, whether he's talking to Grealish or whoever, he's like, listen, nah, you did well. Here's what we can adjust. Here's where you can take advantage. I am all for it. Because again, after a game, there's time to reflect. And when you're pursuing something like perfection, when you're pursuing something like when you're pursuing things that have never been done before, that level of detail needs to be greater. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad at what Pep had to do in terms of giving feedback to the players. Akanji, great. Kovacic, I'm happy with that. I want to see more of it. Rico Lewis, you're showing why coming through the academy, Pep was like, I'm trusting you to stay within the squad. I think when you get a little stronger, hopefully you get in that weight room, not necessarily upper body, you get in that weight room, you got that nice lower center of gravity, you get that strength there in the legs, I think you're going to be good to go. Grealish, great to see him able to play coming back from injury. Doku on that right-hand wing. Listen, you rivals make me sick. Absolute sick. But you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're rivals. You take your shots at Doku now. Take them now. Because they're not going to continue next season. Rico on that right-hand, Doku on that right-hand side, I love seeing it because he's on his stronger foot. Now, I don't know what you were doing, Doku, but change those cleats. Whatever cleats you had, boots, I say cleats, I'm out here in North America. Whatever boots you had on, you got to change those up. I don't know what the blades were underneath there, but you were slipping early in that game. You got to switch that up and get a little more sure-footed. But I like seeing what you had to do. Tomiyasu had to second guess a few times because you got past him. Now, listen, Doku, I think actually, Doku, you need to join, as I talked about this, you need to join KDB, Holland, and Foden on that night out. You guys need to go out. Grealish, you don't need another night out. Grealish, you chill. You stay home, you rest up, hydrate. I don't need you out. But Doku, Foden, Holland, KDB, I need you all on a night out. You know, get that camaraderie going. Get that, good vibes, whatever it is. Find out what music each of you like. Find out what your favorite movies are. You guys need to be on the same page. And when you do that, I think the rest of the league is easy. I think attacking is easy. Doku, you can get by anybody. You just need to know without even looking on where you know Holland's going to be, on where you know Foden's going to be, right? on whether they're going to be in that 6-yard box or the 18-yard box where you need to slip that pass. That's what I want. That is absolutely what I want. Now, let me do this nice and clean.
Vader game.
Okay. Last topic of the day. God, I hate this one. So I leave it for last. You know what I mean? I hate the fact that Liverpool are favorites. And this isn't a move the move the attention from City to Liverpool or any of that nonsense. I know that's what on this platform, that's how a lot of Liverpool fans like to move, with the exception of Mike Dawes. Mike Dawes is actually a real one where he's like, nah, we're 3 points up. There's 9 games left. We've been in the mix for the majority of this league. It's ours to lose. I respect that. He's looked at fixture lists and he's still not going down the route of claiming that this is someone else's league in terms of favorites. I don't know how the same bums, I'm saying bums, want to talk about how City have been poor this season. They want to talk about how City leak goals defensively. They want to talk about how City's attack seems inconsistent. Haaland's not scoring. City aren't able to beat teams in the top 6. They want to talk about how we just haven't looked as good as last year. Now, how does all that get said? Okay? How does all that get said? And then you have a Liverpool team that are going to get players back from injury, that are playing in Europa, which is a lesser competition, easier competition, which obviously has Liverpool, because again, Liverpool, I don't care how poor they looked last season, they weren't the 5th best team last season. Okay, and that's apparent because what you're seeing them do this year without some of their players, right? They weren't that poor last year. So they're in the Europa, they should easily win that thing. But I don't know how that team are not favorites when they're 3 points up with 9 games left. And if you want to look at the games that they've dropped or how inconsistent they've been, they haven't been that inconsistent. To assume that they're going to drop 3 games, they haven't done that all year. So how are Liverpool not favorites to win the remaining of the league when you take into account how poor City have been and how good Arsenal have been, but not as good as Liverpool, with all of that being said? So I'm not trying to shift the pressure or the expectations. I live with that. City fans live with that all the time. Ever since Pep got here, we're the favorites. That's calm. We're not trying to shift any of that. Liverpool fans, you do that, but listen, right now, 9 games left, you have to be favorites. It's your league to lose. It's your title to lose. There's no way that I can win this league without you dropping points. So I don't know how you aren't favorites moving forward. I'm looking at City, and I need a favor. I don't know if that favor is going to come soon or late with the ops that Liverpool have to face. But obviously, I can't win this league without Liverpool losing or drawing a few games, several games. Arsenal need to do me a favor as well. Someone needs to take points off of Arsenal. If I hear an op talk about City still being favorites for this title, I don't know if I'm going to respect your football opinions anymore with regards to title chases, title runs. I don't know how you look at the fixture list. I don't know how you look at form. I don't know how you look at the strengths of all 3 teams and still claim for City to be favorites. Now, if you're claiming City to be favorites because it's some type of reverse jinx or PTSD from last seasons when you maybe expected your team to win and you don't want to claim it now because every time you've claimed that your team was going to win, they lost. So let me do something different and claim that they're going to lose. So therefore they win. I get the mental gymnastics. Okay, I get that. But if you're going to be logical, if you're going to be objective, if you're looking at the fixture list, if you're looking at the fact that goal differential, 3 points ahead, 9 games left, don't know how Liverpool aren't favorites. Now, please take a second. Go to let me actually, now that I actually have to open up this studio, let me look at the studio. Go to the studio, please. Go to the likes. Where do I see likes in the studio? I don't even know. Where is it? Or do I have to actually just open up do I have to actually look at the channel itself? But go to, actually, yeah, I think I do. Go in and just hit the like button. Take a second. Love. I'm seeing 20 likes. 20 likes is very, listen, I'm humbled. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the 20. There's more than 20 people watching. So I'm not going to be greedy. It's up to you. But more likes would be nice. More likes would be nice. Now, okay. Liverpool are favorites, hands down. And Liverpool are favorites because of Arsenal conceding for a draw and not remaining top of the league. Liverpool are favorites because of the 3-point lead that they have on City. And if we want to talk about fixture lists, let me point this out, which is a point that gets missed from some of the best content creators or makers out there. If you happen to play against a team before City or Arsenal and you get a positive result off of them, hence a draw or win, mainly a win, what do you think? Because everybody wants to talk about nuances. Everybody wants to talk about the intangibles. Everybody wants to talk about the psychology. If you happen to play against a team that Arsenal and City happen to play, so I'm talking to you, Liverpool fans, if you happen to play against a team that then later on plays against Arsenal or City, and you got to win off of them, the nuances is that team are now playing harder because they just suffered a loss. All right? We know this. We know this by watching football, by watching the league. Whether you're playing to stay in to prevent relegation, whether you're playing to be comfortable, whether you're playing to actually get into a better position in terms of the standings. If you suffered a loss to Liverpool and then are playing Arsenal or City are going to get a tougher game. So add that into your whole mix in terms of who are favorites moving forward. Who's got the tougher fixture list? Add that wrinkle into it. All right? Add that. Now, I'm trying my best. To do a lot more shows. I've been messing around with doing it at this time of day. I want feedback, and not just from my city blues, not just from my city blues. I want feedback from those of you that enjoy the content or the combo. And I've got a plan to I want to get opinions that I really much enjoy that aren't on the platform into this mix. I'm going to talk to you individually, and I hope you don't mind. But I've got that in the mix, and I'm working on a format. So please don't be surprised if you're approached by me moving forward. But let me know feedback-wise if this time of day works, if this time of day and this day works, because I want to be in like a sweet spot where I don't really have to deal with too many conflicts. So all of that would be much appreciated. Rose in the building. Rose goes, Vader, did you know that the dirty game that Arsenal played against City is a loss for them and a 0.1 for City? Keep that in mind. You know what, Rose? I actually said that we as City fans, and when we looked at that game, we were like, we lost 2 points. But the reverse in terms of the psychology amongst the Arsenal fans was they gained a point because they're still scarred from years and years and years of being spanked coming to the Etihad, or being spanked, period, playing against City. So they see a point gained, whereas we obviously saw 2 points dropped. And it's just the difference in terms of where the clubs are at, where the success has been in terms of how we've just held a standard. We've held a very competitive standard, competitive approach. Mancunian away in the building goes, afternoon, sorry, forgot you was live, mate. No worries. I meant to send out the link, but it's raining out here. My son I had to deal with something going to a school, so everything got all messed up. So I didn't end up sending the link because I was trying to be on track, but it's all good. For anyone on no post-match tonight, back tomorrow, my apologies. Okay. Hope everything's well with that, and nothing's too severe with regards to why the post-match. We will win this title. I won't not believe until it gets too big. I hear that, Martin. I hear that. It's a 3-point gap, so I get all that. But it's still, my last point, it's still Liverpool. 3-point gap on the field, that still should be favorites Liverpool. Like let's be real here. Klilnical. The fact Arsenal didn't even try to win the game told me they didn't have the mentality required. Klilnical, the mentality is they have a mentality to improve. Like the whole commitment to Arteta and again, Arteta coming from us as an assistant manager, you can see why they would have a patient approach. Like, okay, let him let him figure it out. Getting eighth, you know what? Okay, rough start, but let him figure it out. He got that FA, so it bought him some time. And then again, even with regards to what Unai Emery got killed on, because he was to have closed out the season in a strong fashion, had certain expectations. When Arteta was to finish fourth, he fell short, finished fifth. They still showed patience. Now, the fact that they had second last season, despite leading the league for 93%, the manager was given more time. The owners were like, we're going to give you more time. The fan base were a lot more accepting as well. They're like, okay, we'll give you more time. This year as well, now it's kind of like also, okay, let's see the things that you got wrong last year. You played too expansive. Maybe your ego was too big, or you didn't learn from mistakes. So now they're looking at them like, oh, okay, last year you got slapped 3 times from City, right? This year, you won in the Community Shield, you won at the Emirates, you've now taken a draw at the Etihad. They're like, check, okay, improvement. And you're second in the league again this year, or not second again this year, but you're challenging for the title again this year. It's all it's a good report card, right? Now, see what those last 9 games pan out to be. We'll see. But history has shown under Arteta that he's faltered closing out the season, whether it's been the 5th finish, whether it's been the 2nd finish last year, and we'll see what happens this year. Mancunian goes, we'll chat privately, mate. No, sounds good, Martin. All good. Rose goes on to say, Martin, I agree with you. Man City will win the Premier League this season. I'm with you. But the fact that we believe our team's going to win does not mean that another team are not favorites to win it. That's all I'm saying. Daniel in the building goes, Vator. You got it. Daniel in the building. Now, I've got 2 more minutes left in the show because I like to end the show at 115. Shout out to all my 115s that want to spam those on other channels, thinking that it gets to us. But I'm going to end the show at 115. I want to say that I'm going to do this, why always me, as consistent as I can. I think it's going to be this time slot, this day in particular. I think it kind of works out well. My man, United Spurs of America, 115. I see you. You fraud. What's Martin got to say? Vader, I need a best of 5, not 3. Oh, listen. All right, before the show, and I got 45 seconds. I'm going to clip this up. I also have a channel on Twitch because Vader Games, the games is a real thing. My first name's Vader. My last name's Games. I game. And Martin wanted a revenge match. He wanted a revenge match based off of last season when we played the last year of FIFA. And now in this FC 24, I had to deal with Martin again, and now he wants a best out of 5 instead of a best out of 3. So I'm gonna clip up what I did on Twitch because it was quality. It was quality. All I'm gonna say is there were a lot of goals. There were a lot of goals. But thank you all for tuning into the show. Spurs, United Spurs of America, thanks. Everyone in the chat, much appreciated. My gal Rose, all of the fellas in there. Everybody on that Twitter X app, take a second, go to YouTube, find me, Vader Games TV, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, share the channel, let the people know. Egal, my brother, in the chat. Now, please go there, hit the mix, hit the button, do what you got to do, help this channel grow. Obviously, everyone's trying to get to their Ks, their 20Ks, 50Ks. Let me get to 500. Let me get to 500. We're gonna build this slowly, but build it with friends. I'm out. I'm gonna end this at 115. I'm Vader Games. This is Vader Games TV. Why Always Me, episode 96, and we will be back with another show. Peace.